In bottom left, needs to win this game or he has to play Journey. He is.
Deer.
Very cool looking keyboard.
Keyboards are neat.
Yes. His opponent to the bottom right, his ID means star.
ByuL.
He's a star.
Certainly is.
No championship in Korea just yet, but definitely, like what you mentioned earlier, just since his very first GSTL debut, he looked like a good player.
Yeah,
I think
he's always looked very solid.
You know, arguably one of the best ones Fnatic had at the time.
I would say the best.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I would say too. Now I look back, because back then everything was different.
Yes, it was very different back then. But for overall actual skill, this guy just has buckets and buckets and buckets of it.
He should just get a bathtub for it. He needs to have less buckets, man.
Well,
It's
how
like
would he
really
bring it to
inefficient.
the studio if it's in a bathtub?
Just get somebody to carry the bathtub. How use like 12 buckets, and then you just get somebody to carry the bathtub instead. Much more efficient.
Well, I mean, you have to rip it out of the bathroom then. What are you going to bathe in?
Well, I mean, you don't have to. You just put it in your bathtub. You could just get a separate container, like maybe perhaps even a skill vat, if you will.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would work.
Or like you know, one of those containers they carry the things in a Breaking Bad little barrels.
Yeah, it's where you dispose of bodies.
Yeah, skill barrel.
That's where a skill barrel. There you go. All right. Well,
Deer paused, right? I think it was.
yeah. He asked for a pause there. Who knows what it was? We'll see. Just some sort of
Hopefully, you know, it's
something wrong.
The best issue that ever happens is like a sound issue where he's like, my sound's working, like, to press Control S. He's like, oh, okay, sorry, I was really stressed out. That happens from time to time.
Could be. It used to be the way a lot of times. I think at this point, I'd be very surprised if they didn't check that first before hitting the pause. But anyways, what do you think about this matchup on this map? Is Deer going to be able to take this, or is this just ByuL going to win this again?
After what I saw in Game 1, I feel like if Deer can execute his plan here, I think he can bring it to a third game because it's his map pick. And the way Pross is looking at this matchup right now, especially when I watch like Zest versus Sue in the finals, it looks like Pross are starting to figure out if I build the right late game comp and also am constantly scouting when they're going to switch to mutas, and I'm ready for that switch too. Protoss versus Zerg is actually stronger for Protoss. Seems like there's this switch. Do you get this feeling like Protoss are starting to realize I don't actually have to use timing attacks. I don't have to keep him down on bases. I don't have to harass him to win. I can just keep doing the better composition and like doing zealot warp-ins to kill bases.
People have gotten a lot better against Swarm hosts, and I think that that's a big part of it because they aren't as afraid anymore. Because like if you go Swarm host, I think Swarm host is becoming a little bit more map dependent where you have to do it. It has to be like a smaller map. For instance, maybe he's afraid of that on Habitation Station. I think Stormhost is still a good choice there.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at a map like Frost, not going to be good. Ultrazine, not going to be good.
Also, usually like the map that Stormhost has to be on, not only does it have to be small most of the time, but also has to be like less walkway patterns, like paths to go on. Whereas on Habitation Station, you basically only have that one walkway to go across.
Yeah,
the map.
you have the bottom one, but it's like
you're not
your
walking
army's
down
out of
there.
position if you go down there.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. So
it's almost like Newkirk. You know, there's like basically only one way.
Well, Newkirk, that map was hilarious. But that was in rotation before Zergs figured out that Stormhost was the best unit in the game.
That's true.
That was actually by far my highest win rate on any ladder map ever.
I actually liked Newkirk as an idea because it was just like the most 1v1 map ever.
Yeah.
It's just like there's a pathway between
I
these two
actually thought
bases.
it was very fun.
It was. I really enjoyed it. It felt like a very good practice map to test like just a build as an idea, you know, before you start testing it on real other maps.
Yeah.
Just because it's like so straightforward. It's a two-player map. It's not like Yunsu where it's a two-player map where there's like all these other aspects you have to think about. Like the third base is super easy to take.
You know what I'm really excited about for maps, though? You just showed me on the phone Maze for Pro League.
Dude.
Have you guys seen Maze? Holy crap, go look it up.
So basically the idea behind Maze is there's a bunch of rocks, a bunch of narrow pathways, and you can actually kill collapsible rock towers to create the path, so you can make whatever path you want if you have the units to kill the towers. And now nobody's actually loaded this map up yet, at least as far as I can tell, so who knows what the collapsible rock towers hit points are. They could be like at 100 hit points or something like crazy, so you can kill it with like a zealot.
Imagine the weird walkway for the scout. Like if it's really low, it's like all at one hit point. You just send like a drone out and you make like this weird path, like the SVS go like this to get to your base or something.
Yeah, well, you know, if you're like that, you got to be careful like the rocks don't fall on. You're probably gonna like tap it and like run away really fast, so you don't actually get crushed by the rocks falling down. I'm excited for it. I'm not really sure how I feel about it until it's played. I'm like, well,
You feel excitement for it, that's all.
I do feel
We'll
excitement.
see when it starts to get played, but it looks super, super interesting. Some of these maps that we have, like that, I'm wondering about Overgrowth, because I like where the gold base is kind of, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of...
It's like...
It's forward enough that it is going to be hard to take early on.
It's kind of
Zergs
like...
are choosing it a lot already.
Yeah.
So
It feels like it's a base that you can just get a big boost on. What I like about it is, especially for Protoss versus Zerg, you can take that gold base as your fourth, and then you have this extra mineral dump for Zealot harassment. And then if you're a Zerg player, for example, you get that extra mineral dump for maybe static defense for those drops, you know, and warp-ins, whatever you want to call them. As a Terran, though, like, you get a bunch of extra minerals, but you already have a ton of minerals to work with generally anyways.
I'm a little bit afraid of Overgrowth becoming a super Zerg map, though, because if you look at where the fourth base is, it's so far away it can't be attacked. Like, if you don't take the gold as a fourth, you take the corner as a fourth.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's so far away. Everything's at the bottom of the map, all four of your bases. It's like, it's kind of crazy.
That is actually a really good point. What I like about Overgrowth, too, is there's a lot of big like obstructions in the map, so you can kind of micro around them and use that terrain to your advantage. We don't have a ton of maps where terrain comes big into play. I was talking to Taste a little bit yesterday. Do you remember the map Crossfire? Like, I actually hated that map so much at the time, but now I really miss it because the terrain of the map, though, the way the ramps play out actually comes so much into play about positioning. We don't really have
Well, that was one of the
like
best maps ever in StarCraft 1 before it was ported to StarCraft 2.
Yeah, that was Shin Peaks of Baekdu, right?
Yeah.
That was the one.
It was like the exact same map, but in StarCraft 1 it was actually really good. In StarCraft 2 it was really bad.
So Deer has a problem. His keyboard isn't working, even though it looked really cool earlier. I guess he's going to have to switch to a QSEN.
Yeah, that's a DT35 right there for sure. And a DT35, if you don't know what it is, it's a Samsung keyboard that...
it was the most popular used keyboard in all of Korea.
In StarCraft 1, it was the only keyboard you would use in pro gaming.
You could buy it for like $7. Now it's a lot more expensive because they're not being produced anymore.
You know, before StarCraft 2 came out, they were up to about 10 to 12,000 won.
Last time I bought one was like 25, I think, and I heard somebody bought one for 40 a few months ago. So it's like really getting up there. You can't really find.
Well, they haven't been in production for a long time now. So, but anyways, it's a good keyboard. It's something that Deer for sure has used a lot in the past. Of course, that is going to affect his play some because it's not exactly the same as whatever keyboard he was using before. But it's not like an uncomfortable keyboard for anyone to really switch into, I think.
Yeah, it's if you've never used a DT35 and you have the opportunity to, I would like recommend it because it's a keyboard you if you're just using a regular normal keyboard, you're not sure if you want to try mechanical or not. I'd recommend if you have the opportunity to put your hands on DT35. It's pretty hard to get your hands on that in the States. You're gonna have to like ship that internationally. It's pretty expensive, but.
It's a solid keyboard. You know, the only thing I can think is some of the older Razer keyboards. Like, have you ever gone to type on one of those after typing on something else? The keys are like shifted a certain way.
Yeah.
Where like I've gone to them before, like gone to a PC Bong and like there's a Razer keyboard. I've used any keyboard but that, and you try to use it and. You start to slur your speech and drool because the keys don't line up with where your brain thinks they are, and you can't type a single thing. It's like worse than using a different language keyboard in a certain way because it's just like it's shifted just enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So,
you know, actually, there was like the keyboard I use right now is
the new ones aren't like that, but like the big surfboard, the ones that you could jump out of a plane and glide to Earth with, those ones were hard to type on. Anyways,
I use an old TSL keyboard, and it's the key spacing on it is like slightly different, but it's like for me, I'm so used to it, feels perfect, but it's really easy for me to transition. Now PC Bong's
Sky Digital, right?
Yeah, Sky Digital one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's my very favorite keyboard. I've been using it for like 2.5 years or so now. I think that like with that keyboard, I can transition to other keyboards quite nicely. When I go to PC Bong, usually the PC Bong has like this new version of the QSEN keyboard that's like a lot flatter, and I don't like it as much, but I've played on it enough that I'm pretty used to it, just like the Logitech mice that they use. Like, I'm pretty used to them by now because I go to PC Bong so often.
A lot of the cheaper PC Bongs use those IROX ones that are those are made out of like plastic silverware or something. They're so bad. That's what I think when I use them. Like, are you joking me? Like, this is disposable after one use, right? Like,
those keyboards are definitely not of the highest quality.
No.
Definitely a cheap little keyboard you can pick up, though.
Yeah.
I remember at the GOM house, we actually had like 20 of those in a box.
I bet.
and they stayed in the box.
No doubt. Wonder why those are even there. Oh, just in case the pro gamers don't bring their keyboard.
One pro gamer like raged and like broke his keyboard. He had to use like the IROX keyboard in shame for like 2 days before he went back to Youngsan and got a new one.
That's funny though that there was like 20 over there, because I'm trying to imagine like if I was running the GOM house and someone came over, like a pro gamer, to join the GOM house and didn't bring their own keyboard, I just go back to the airport, get out of here. Coming to Korea to be a pro gamer, you don't bring your keyboard, get out of here.
What's so funny is when the house disbanded, when it closed, there was just the big box, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, you guys can take any of these keyboards you want," and nobody took it. Not even a single person was like, "Yeah, man, I guess I could have an extra keyboard." No, not those IROX. No, absolutely not.
Not those.
The Zowie keyboards, though, those were in high demand, but not the IROX. That's not so much, man. All right, we're finally back into this one.
All right. So, Deer is ready to do his best. I got to really favor ByuL for the series now, because I think something like that mentally can be tough.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, whatever keyboard he was using before, this is a little bit different. And the more different it is, the harder it is to use another one. As I was talking before about how, like, the Razer ones were just so different from what I used to use that it was so hard to use. You have to really get used to it. It takes a few days.
I wonder if what happened with the keyboard is sometimes I have this in Korea specifically, I don't know why, where a keyboard and mouse driver will suddenly like it'll start like making that noise, that Windows noise, that goes, you know, like it just like connected and just keep making that noise, and you like sometimes like your input doesn't work for a second. There's the only thing I can expect happen with his keyboard, because he was able to type PP, so it's not like his keyboard was not working at all. It was just like there was some issue with it, right?
Yeah, I've had stuff like that where like the shift key is stuck down or something like that.
Oh yeah.
It just, I'm not sure, but
But it's like hopefully salvageable for him to where after this series he can have it fixed for his next best of 3.
I'm sure he's going to take a really close look at it after, but I mean, how long can you really delay the match that you're in the middle of?
Yeah.
Apparently not too long. Well, it's a double hatch before pool. Pretty greedy build here from ByuL, but it's a gigantic map, so if he's going to do something like this, this is the map.
Especially when it's your opponent's pick.
Does he have 2 probes in the map? He does, doesn't he? No, I'm so sorry. That was the drone returning.
Yeah, on a map of this size, like sometimes the red and the blue like just kind of both look like black.
Yeah, that's true. Thanks, Wolf. You saved me.
But you know, I'm a really big fan of taking a risk on your opponent's map pick, because he's so focused on what he's doing. Yeah. Instead of trying to, he can't be thinking, I'm ready to punish a double hatch before pool. He's probably feeling like he's just going to play his own build, his own strategy. It's much less. You know, I feel like it's a worse idea to do double hatch before pool when you pick the map.
Yeah, that I agree with you completely.
Because that's more
to throw your opponent
right?
off on their map for sure. And the thing is, he can't have known 100% that Deer would choose this map. So he may have had this plan on this map from the get-go, just being a big map. You know, if they don't scout you right away, it's like, you know, you just, what they don't know, they can't hurt.
Yep.
That's a saying, right?
I don't know about that, actually.
It's very kind of you to word it as such.
I'm pretty sure that it's like what you don't know can't hurt you, but actually in StarCraft II, what you don't know absolutely can hurt you.
That's for sure. All right, so it looks here, if you look at the timing of those gateways lined up at the warp gate, this is definitely going to be a Zealot Phoenix harassment. Very old build, very popular build. It absolutely can work if it gets scouted out. If they stop at Dennis tracks, like you warp in 4 Zealots and they kill them, or even if you warp in 8 and they surround them. But like, I guess if it doesn't do any damage, you're pretty far behind.
Yeah.
Because you've put so many of your early minerals, your tech is way behind, you have all these Phoenixes that did some damage, but they could have done that on their own.
Yeah, third base is delayed, especially against someone who went double hatch before pool. So let's see how much he gets done with this. He's going to go ahead and start cleaning up these overlords.
Yeah, he's sending quite a few down, and he's going to see the Chrono Boost on that Cybernetics core, and that tells him enough already. He knows exactly what's going on. He had already started 7 drones, so it's a little bit of an issue, but we should see nothing but units from here until he stops this.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he needs to wait for actually his overlords to pop before he can make any more, though, and it's
pretty rough, actually.
He's actually going to lose even another one here.
Yeah, he has 4 making, so he's going to be able to make some units, but a little bit rough there. He needs these overlords to finish.
Yeah,
so there's 2 more supply that he can use. Oh, no.
This is not looking good, man. The speed isn't done yet either. So
okay, there we go. 14 on the way.
Gonna lose this queen.
Yeah, not only the Queen, 4 Zealots in here against like 4 Zerglings. Pretty rough.
Yeah, I think he actually needs to run the drones. Oh, he's going to lose his Overlords as well. I think this might actually just be the end.
Yeah, you know what? Being supply capped like that has destroyed everything for ByuL this game. It's not over yet. It looks like he will hold this for now.
He doesn't actually warp in any more Zealots, it doesn't look like. As far as I can tell, he just didn't have enough supply open. He was supply blocked.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you know what I think it is he warped in 4. He said, let's go for it. He didn't know how supply capped for how long ByuL got. And he decided, he already spent all this money on these gates. He's got to do something with the Zealots. If he had continued to warp them in and made a closer pylon, he may have been able to parlay this into a victory. But as is, I think that was actually a very intelligent choice for him.
Yeah, I like
when you see the chrono boost on that, your opponent knows 100% what's going on. As long as he's not supply capped, he's going to crush it.
Yeah, but the funny thing about this actually is for ByuL, this works out like perfectly.
Yeah.
Just coincidentally, because he doesn't overmake Zerglings, which means his drone count is still decent.
Yeah.
He doesn't waste larva because he couldn't. He wanted to waste it so bad.
So badly. He wanted to make so many lings right away.
So that's just bad luck, really, at the bottom line for Deer.
But you know what? You have to respect the intelligence behind the decision to only warp in the 4 Zealots. He played wonderfully. Didn't work out. You can't count on ByuL being that far behind in Overlords. So, looks like the game is going to normalize quite a bit. He's going into Colossus Tech, going to take his 3rd base. In the meantime, a Spire on the way.
The 4th base for ByuL is actually right next to that pylon. So that could come into fruition a little bit later on for Deer as well. He's killed so many Overlords.
He really has.
And even going to kill a few more drones here. Going to kill another Overlord.
God, this is a lot of Overlords. I'd love to see how many he's lost so far this game.
We'll probably get a stat on that a little bit later, but
these Lings actually doing a great job right now. They killed that Sentry and get to do a bit of damage. A little bit sloppy there in the main base. Could have done a bit more.
I mean, just looking at supplies here, ByuL has, he's down in supply against a Protoss player, and he's overmade Overlords actually a bit as well. He's at like 100 out of 150. That's a lot of extra minerals he spent on Overlords.
Very Stefano-esque.
Yeah.
Supply cap, make a bajillion Overlords. Now he does have some Corruptors out as well to push these back. So it looks like Void Ray Colossus going to be the order of the day from Deer. Not a bad unit composition to go for.
Yeah, one of the first players to do this consistently in PvZ in Heart of the Swarm when that was first coming out.
But if you look at what ByuL has, I love this move of just flying Corruptors across the map, because his opponent doesn't have a lot of great units. As we can see, he's takes out that Void Ray immediately. Going after these Phoenixes, I actually would almost just prefer that he targets Colossus instead of the Phoenixes.
Yeah.
These Phoenixes are actually inconsequential. 3-4 Phoenixes at this point in the game, they don't do anything. But, well, I guess because he's switching into mutas, he kills them. But I feel like he could have killed 1 Colossus there, and there'd just be 2 more Phoenixes alive.
Yeah, I think he was concerned that the Colossus tanks so much they might lose too many of his Corruptors to the Void Ray and the Stalkers walking over. But I like your rationale on this. This is going to be a funny situation because he's moving out at the worst possible time. But this is going to force the mutas to come back. Most likely, I would say, he's making 8 spines right now. ByuL is the king of making spines just in time to survive. That
is true. He does that quite a bit. Now these mutas going to go over to the natural right now. Kind of misclick there, attacking the hatch for a moment. ByuL 100% going to lose this 3rd base if Deer decides to kill it. Last time he left it and went into the natural to stop this exactly. Doesn't look like he's doing it this time, is he?
No. Corruptor's only going back right now, going to catch a few Phoenixes. This army looks strong when you look at it like that, but against these spines, all he needs to do is defeat the Colossi. The spines will do the rest against the ground army. He's killing so much back at home. Deer is warping a few Stalkers to die again. I don't know about that, but the Colossi here at the back make this easy to kill the spines. Just way too much range there. And ByuL is eventually going to have to face the music, right? He can't just keep making spine crawlers only against 2 Colossi with range.
You wouldn't think so, but that's what he's doing. He continues to kill off as many probes as possible. It is 39 probes left, and he's actually killed off a lot of the Stalkers as well. Oh, a terrible rally point. Oh, man. You can tell he's obviously paying a lot of attention elsewhere, trying to get spines up, trying to harass correctly with his mutas, keep the Stalker count low enough that his mutaless attack can continue.
Well, this mutaless attack has killed the majority of the probes. Again, these Stalker warp-ins.
Yeah.
Or just giving away free money.
Yeah, I mean, you should at least make them
GG.
further away. And Deer GG's it. Okay, so
Those spine crawlers ended up saving him. It was, you know, only Zealots going up to that base, that 4th base to the north, and with those spines there, he was easily set up to defend that.
spine crawler, good unit.
Yeah, I mean, he's got Colossi, but it doesn't matter if there's only 2 Colossi, and he can send his Mutas back at any time to kill those.
Well, eventually, yeah, that's the thing. He looked at it and said, I can never win army versus army. If I even start to break the spines, he will come back. My main base is falling apart. Time to go down to the loser bracket and beat Journey.
Yeah, it's harsh to say, but I think that, you know, I favor Deer against Journey the same way I favor Bill against Deer. We're going down a food chain here.
Yeah, I guess so. Everything's very one-sided in your mind today. All right, so it looks like we're going to have a ZVZ in this first winners match.
Right.
See who goes into Code S. Any picks here? ByuL versus Solar?
Actually, no. I feel like this
close.
could really go either way.
Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead, jump into a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll see who goes.